proceedings. So if everyone wouldn't mind taking their seats. So welcome to the first inter-hospital meeting of 2015. Before we move on to the presentations this evening, which are from the Women's and Children's, we've got to give our sponsors the opportunity to say a few words. So I'm looking over there, Sian from Chiquita. Do you have anything you want to say?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Nice to see you all. I'm Sian from Chiquita. I'm from Chiquita. That's how I say it. But Tim is my colleague. He's here tonight from Sydney, and he has a slight accent, so it sounds a bit different when he says it as well. So, good evening. I just wanted to take the opportunity to introduce myself and to Chiquita, to haematology in particular. They're new to haematology oncology in Australia. So I've come on board to visit you guys as the hospital product specialist and in my portfolio, etc., also known as Brentuximab and Vedotin. Recent news is that it is available on the PBS for relapsed and refractory anaphylaxis, which you may have heard and seen bits and pieces about. I have forms here, and I'm happy to answer questions throughout the night and when I can to see you guys in your hospital settings. So that's the current update. We also have patient access programs for the relapsed and refractory Hodgkin lymphoma settings, so I have all those details. Not the time to go through that tonight because you've got a full agenda, but lovely to see you all and have a thank you.
Thanks, Sian. Now, if Jenny or Jodie from Pfizer are joining with each other.
Hi guys, good to see you again. Just wanted to let you know, if you haven't already discussed it with you, Pfizer now has the PBS. So we've got the TGA indication early last year, but we now have the PBS system to go along with it. So the specific PBS indication is prophylaxis of invasive fungal infections, including both yeast and mold, so quite broad. And then just to summarise the clinical criteria, there are three main criteria. One is for patients with AML or MDS and considered at high risk at developing invasive fungal infections due to anticipated neutropenia. Secondly, for patients who are considered at high risk to having acute graft-versus-host disease. Or thirdly, patients who are at risk and must be going undergo so that's good news. Hopefully it just increases the availability of those patients. For myself or colleagues.
Thanks, Jodie. And last is Gordana from Alexion. Is that the right one?
Hello, Gordana. A few new things. First, we've got a new joining Alexion. Some of you know. She'll be new indication has been listed as of this year, which is in HUS, which is great. And looking at for TNH under the Life Service Program for coming around.
Thanks, Gordana. And lastly, to acknowledge the support of Amgen, who are televising this. So there's Ben there, I think, plugged in. This is going through to Hobart. We're going to be doing a reverse meeting later in the year where they will be presenting and we'll be plugged in here from Hobart. So I think that's probably going to be in June. So there's a couple of announcements. First of all, I'd like to welcome all the new registrars and trainees. So it's really fantastic that you can come here, and also welcome the old registrars. It's also good having the tired old registrars as well. Yeah. Does the new ones want to sort of basically go around and introduce yourself? Who are the new? Maybe there aren't any. Yeah. Oh, so name and institution. Welcome, Sally, from the Royal Children's. Oh, yeah. So Julian from Austin, very good. That's good. We take notice of these people. They get top of the line when they're applying for consultant jobs a few years later. So, now the other brief announcement I want to make is that I'm sure you're all aware that the HAA or the HSANZ, ASTH, I don't know what they are, all the Special Australian Haematology Society's annual scientific meeting is in Melbourne in November, not October, November in 2016. So we have put together a local organising committee. We've sort of met once, but we are looking for other people who feel they have something they can contribute either to HSANZ or one of the other societies. So if you are interested in running a small meeting for, I don't know, roughly 2,000 people, even if you're interested in the social function, that could be fun. If you've got some good ideas for the social function, if you can make yourself known to either me or Erica or Stephen Ting or, yeah, that's probably enough. So, so that's going to be a big thing. We want to make it the best meeting ever, very memorable, have a wild party. And before I pass the floor over to this evening's chair, is there any other announcements that anyone would like to make? Oh, Erica, yes. Yeah. Get your forms in. Every year we say, get your forms in. You know, they don't listen. Unlike every year before, there will be no exceptions. No exceptions. This is a rule, so get your forms in if you're going to sit the exam. The other brief announcement, I'd like to talk about the Impact teleconference, and this is the multi-institution project alliance and collaborative task force, which is basically a system whereby you can perform audits across all the major teaching hospitals in Victoria. So if you've got a clinical question that you would like answered, then I would strongly engage you to get involved with the Impact group. Dave Ritchie is probably the best contact for that, or Andrew Grigg or myself, and it's a great ability to for rare diseases to collect a large number of cases, and we've got some fantastic publications. So that's the end of this evening's announcement. I'm past the chair over, so who's going first, the women's or the children's? Or the floor is yours.
Great, thank you. So my name is Sally and I've been a haematology registrar at the Royal Children's for 9 days now, so please take that into consideration with my presentation. Today I'll be presenting transient erythroblastomia of childhood versus Diamond-Blackfan anemia, just comparing two cases and talking mostly about Diamond-Blackfan anemia. So our first case was a 3-year-old girl who presented with 3 weeks of lethargy and pallor. She had no intercurrent illness symptoms and no fever or weight loss or night sweats. A fairly unremarkable past medical history apart from pertussis at age 1. The family history was also very unremarkable in terms of no family history of thalassemia or bone marrow disorders. And to examine, she was pale but alert and interactive, appropriate for her developmental age. She had no lymphadenopathy or hepatosplenomegaly to exam, and her growth parameters were on centiles. Her initial investigation showed a hemoglobin of 52 that was slightly microcytic with an MCV of 70 and a depressed neutrophils at 0.85 and a reticulocyte count of 4. Doing more screens for her hemoglobin, her hemolysis screen was relatively normal apart from the LDH being mildly elevated, and she had a normal coagulation screen as well. We did further screening tests for her, and she had a normal viral panel. Her iron studies were in keeping with somebody with sufficient iron stores, as with her B12 and folate. We did a hemoglobin electrophoresis, and that showed an increased hemoglobin F at 6.3 and an HbA of 91%. And there wasn't any variant seen, and the alpha thalassemia screen was sent and still pending at the moment. We did do red cell tests. So we did adenosine deaminase, and that level is normal. And I'll talk more about that test in the next case as well. For her bone marrow, the initial film showed a mildly reduced cellularity to normal cellular. And in particular, the erythroblasts were virtually absent. However, the other lines were all within normal range, apart from the fact the lymphocytes were mildly elevated to 45% of the count. The differential then was a red cell aplasia, with the possible diagnosis is acquired versus congenital red cell aplasia. This is just talking about her trophine. On the glycophorin staining, also showed no obvious normal blasts. In terms of progress, we gave her one transfusion of packed red cells to a target of 80 and commenced her on folic acid. Within a week later, the Ren repeated the full blood count, and it demonstrated above. And notably, you can see that her reticulocyte count now is 213. So this led us to, with the other information, to give her the diagnosis of transient erythroblastomia of childhood. I'm not going to go into great detail, as Gemma is going to talk more about it in her discussion, but it's a self-limited anemia of childhood. The cause of which is unknown. There have been, in the literature, there is 11 sibling pairs that did have TEC, which postulates a possible autosomal dominant inheritance for some types of it, but mostly there's no known genetic cause for TEC. It can have a neutropenia associated with it, and the platelets can be up or down. Typically it lasts 1 to 2 months and then resolves on its own without any long-term side effects. That was our first case. Our second case is a 3-month-old boy who presented to the emergency department also with pallor and lethargy and poor feeding noted from mum, and she was concerned that he had been losing some weight. He had an uncomplicated delivery from an uncomplicated pregnancy, and again there was no family history within this unit. He examined very similarly to our first case, except he was much smaller, but he had some mild dysmorphic features in that his eyes were a bit too widely spaced apart, so he had a degree of hypertelorism, but there were no gestalt diagnoses noted for the rest of his dysmorphic exam. And his hemoglobin had a count of 15, with a macrocytic anemia this time, with an MCV of 94, and reticulocyte count of 1. So we did further investigations again. The hemolysis screen, once again, was unremarkable. There was no ABO incompatibility between the child and the mum. And the coagulation studies and viral studies, B12 folate, again, were all normal. His hemoglobin electrophoresis demonstrated a similar pattern to our first one in that we did have a raised hemoglobin F and a depressed hemoglobin